Hello, Bl'Artagnan here, bringing you Lotsa Lore, the Strago Lost Chapter Lufenia, bringing a team of Golbez, Pecil, and Vincent. I'm a little bit late here. I got a little bit distracted with the various holiday weekend events and didn't have time to clear this, but I put together a nice little non-synergy team to get us through it. Before we get into it, I know I say this every time, please hit the like button. If you enjoy this, hit subscribe for more content like it. I know it's kind of overplayed, but it really does help me out, both in terms of exposure and in terms of motivation. So thank you for that. So, this fight. There are two phases to it, and we're actually going to be approaching it in two phases. Or I should say there's two waves, but we're going to be approaching it in two phases. These robots aren't super threatening, but they have a couple of things to keep in mind. They have this AOE HP attack that they're going to be charging up. You see there it says charging 50%. It'll be eventually hitting 100, and then you're going to want some way to mitigate it. In this case, I'm using Vincent's attack down plus Paladin Cecil. After they do that, they're going to go into kind of a cooldown or recharging phase, and their next move is going to apply a rather potent speed down debuff to everyone. And on its own, that's not that big a deal, but between they actually buff their own speed in the process, and between that and the tight turn count of 65 turns, it can really bog you down and actually mess you up. So you see here I'm applying the attack down, getting a turn jump so I can apply the EX now. I actually found in some previous runs cases where they'd take 3 turns in a row because the speed had differential had gotten so great, or I'd enter the second wave with the speed down debuffs on and the bosses would take a turn before me and it would kind of go downhill from there, especially given what I have in mind for the second wave. You see here Vincent and Pecil just kind of invalidating that all attack. Oh man, Golbez is still so fun to use. I know he's no Tifa at this point, but goddamn, he just feels good to use. He's so cool. So here we go with that debuff that they're going to apply. I think he's also going to take. He also takes an immediate turn right after, which is. Or no, that's weird. They basically take 2 turns, so they cycle off their debuffs, such as the attack down debuff, and then they apply the speed down to us. So I wanted some way to deal with that speed down debuff because it was honestly kind of messing me up. So I turned to Mog. Shout out to Excalibur for pointing this out. Mog Call, both of his attacks include the follow-up, which has a chance to confuse if you have no debuffs on you, but if you have debuffs on you, cleanses. It's a really nice little jack-of-all-trades kind of utility move right there. So thank you Excalibur for pointing out how useful Mog can be in those situations. It's funny, I originally pulled him for the Confuse chance, but I haven't actually used the Confuse chance successfully in a run. But that cleanse was actually rather nice, because I've been skipping all of our cleansing calls. Now, we'd ideally like to take these guys out before they have a chance to reapply that speed down. So we're going to go ahead and live wire shot, almost killing B, and then drop the EX on A. They're going to get 1 more turn each after this. Would have been nice if B died there just for turn count purposes, but we can deal because, once again, they're not actually damaging us. We're way too safe between Vincent and Pecil. I'm going to use skill 1 here to kill them both because I want to save that EX for the next wave. Because this is where the real fight begins. These fierces, they got a bunch of nasty mechanics that I don't really want to deal with. They change stances, they get auras, I'm sure there's a debuff in there somewhere or whatever. They require insta breaks, they get a bunch of weird absorbs, like melee absorb, what the fuck? So I'm not going to let them do that shit. Taking a page out of Belial's book. Check out Belial on YouTube if you haven't, by the way. We're going to use an iBrv down strategy. You see I use the Edward and Payne calls because they have debuff start on their EXs, which lets them apply unique EX debuffs. Combined with Vincent, that's a lot of iBrv down right there. And the thing about iBrv down is if you can get the enemy's iBrv to 0, including any stack increases they get from different thresholds and whatnot, they start unbreaking every other turn. So you're going to see here, using the mod called just to cycle a turn, they're immediately unbroken. Would have been nice if we got 2 confuses there, but I'll take it. Once again, using the free AA there to cycle their turns again, because now they're just going to be unbreaking every other turn. This won't be the case for the entire fight. Once they go below 50%, they get a stat boost, and I'm not bringing enough debuff to keep them at 0 iBrv, but it'll get me far enough. My thinking here was basically all of the boss's mechanics, almost all of the boss's mechanics I should say, are triggered when they use their all attacks in either stance. So long as they're not using an all attack, we're not threatened. We can let them take a turn right there. But now that that all attack is queued up, we don't want them doing anything. We can start doing some jiggery pokery here and there just to keep them off balance. Well, I should mention the orb. The orb is, you have to deal thunder or holy damage, and if you deal them both at once, it's +2 as opposed to +1, meaning you actually increase the orb as opposed to just staving it off. The nice thing about Vincent is he self-enchants lightning, but is also enchantable with the holy from Pecil. So that's how we've been kind of surviving this orb, even though we have Golbez on the team. Goes away 80, and it's going to come back at 50. You know, it's not a complicated orb, although the double element thing I've seen confuse a few people. Reapplying that enchant. And as much as I would love to EX here, I'd rather just kind of keep them both pushed back. Go ahead and once again using those AAs, using AAs to, you know, kind of pacing your AAs to unbreak them is pretty key here. There's one last mechanic with these guys that I need to watch out for though, which is similar to, I think, some of the fights we're going to be seeing in the future. If we take 20 actions in a row without them acting, they're going to get a gold aura, kind of like Alexander. And when they get that aura, they take ones, and that isn't going away until they take a turn. Doesn't matter if you break them or whatever, they're taking ones, and it's just, you're not touching them. Which is kind of awkward when your strategy is to use 0 iBrv to keep them from ever acting. So you saw there, I let them take that action just to kind of pace it out and kind of reset that 20 turn timer. Now we're going back to hitting them both. Using Golbez's Dark Enchant to keep them both kind of broken and pushed back. Gotta say, Vincent's been an interesting character because I haven't used him too often, even though he really is quite good. So it's nice to be able to use him here because he's really cool, and the fact that he's still doing such good work is pretty impressive. I'm sure Jin Lee would be giddy if you heard me say that. He's been championing Vincent since the LD was announced. It is quite good. I was tempted to use the AA there, but ended up just pushing them back. Using AA here instead. So you see Vincent's getting a little bit low on skills there. Obviously, not really worried about reapplying debuffs since they're not really getting actions, but willing to let them take one more turn each, I think. Because again, the thing we're worried about here is those all attacks. You see that all attack queued up there. I'm pretty sure this is the white aura probably is what he's going to do. I don't know. It's, basically, they need to be broken or something. The thing is, you don't need to know the mechanics if you don't let them use it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Edward to Lullaby, because the plan here is to kind of let them take one more turn each so we can try to kill them in 20 actions, more or less. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're okay. Okay, A took his action. We can go ahead and chuck a snake at him. The fact they're taking actions is sad for Garland's BT effect, but it's okay. Now, go ahead and push them back, and you're going to see here, from this point on, they're going to start unbreaking naturally, you know, the usual 5-turn thing, which kind of sucks for me, but we did what we needed to do. We stalled them out so that we never had to face any of their auras or mechanics or things that they do to us. And now it's time for our heavy hitters to go to town. You give them as many turns as we're willing to give. I was tempted to use Diablos with Rude here to try to get that weakness damage up, But I decided to go with Ramuh, A for max brave, and B for that paralysis safety net in case it comes down to it. We need to give them one more turn each. Ideally we won't though, because we're bringing Golbez Burst in here along with Garland Burst, which is fully stacked. And it's looking pretty good. We're doing some good damage here. God bless this big middleman. Jesus, look at this. No wonder they made the last few fights we fought in Peril Immune. Golbez does nutso things when he's able to hit weakness. Keeping that enchant up for the sake of the orb. Because at this point, since Vincent's not here, we're only stabilizing the orb whenever we hit them. That's something to keep in mind. Ramuh with the paralyzed and also random brave hits. I don't know if you saw that. The Divine Summon's brave hits are random, and they all just targeted A there. Not that it matters, but it was kind of stupid. I feel kind of betrayed by it. Dropping meteors on them. Every one of Golbez's attacks looks so cool. I love it. Okay. Here we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. They're almost dead. We might even kill them before they get a summon. The double burst effects. It's real. The big metal dudes feeling good. Look at that. Was that just shy of 1 million damage? Golbez, what the fuck? Anyway, there you go. Strago Lost Chapter. No synergy. I love it. Hope you had fun. I did. This is really just a really fun time. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Adios.